lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life is lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
It is one of the most legendary ovals in all of auto racing, especially, though, here for IndyCar and open wheel racing, where tonight, round number 11 of Season 5 for the Sim Racers Edge IndyCar Series will be here from West Allis, Wisconsin, and the Milwaukee Mile. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Greg McConey. Greg, this is one of the most legendary racing circuits, not just in America, but all over the world as far as oval racing goes. It's a very difficult track to get around here, and even one that is more difficult to try to get a win.
Absolutely, Frank. I'm so happy to be here tonight. We are in beautiful Wisconsin. I am so excited to see this race. Just watching these guys in practice, you can already tell the excitement's there for the drivers. We're going to have fun in the stand. It is going to be a great race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, again, a track that is steeped in history. Winners' names on the trophy here, the likes of Unser, Rutherford, Andretti, Mears, Nigel Mansell's even won here, Paul Tracy, Moore, Vassar. There is a laundry list, a who's who of people who have won here at this racetrack.
Yeah, and these guys get to go out and race. We were at Indianapolis Oval last week running our equivalent of the Brickyard, and these guys put on such a great show. And to go from one legendary track to another legendary track in all of motorsports, like you said, is so exciting for these guys. We've heard them talking it up and hyping this race up all week long. They're ready to go. I'm ready to go. It's going to be a great race.
It's going to be a difficult one here for these drivers for multiple reasons, not just the track, but we'll get to pit entry and pit exit later, the wide sweeping flat corners. But right now, we'll take a look at the point standings here, I should say. Butch Davis currently holding a 9-point lead after his second place finish at Indianapolis last week over Chad Simpson, who currently sits as the only other driver over 300 points. Simpson did not have the finish that he was hoping for, did end up running out of fuel on his two-stop strategy at Indianapolis last week. Bentley Glazer remaining the same, really the entirety of the top 7 remaining the same, though after that is a lot of guys moving around, moving and shaking, happening all throughout the championship standings.
Yeah, we're winding down, Frank. We've only got a couple races left in the season. And like you said, the point battle is really on between Davis and Simpson right now. But a couple mistakes out of those guys, a couple bad finishes, you've got Glazer knocking on the door. Siefker's not that far out either. This championship's still open.
Absolutely, and those two have been in a class of their own thus far this season. The team that they drive for has been in a class of their own. FBR Motorsports, 333 points, over nearly 120 points clear of VooDoo Racing, coming in at second position right now in the team's championship. OGR, Commonwealth, everybody remaining the same. However, that battle for fourth in the team championship, Commonwealth Motorsports, who are actually sponsoring the race here tonight, V-Speed and VSM, very, very close, just 6 points in it between those three teams, and Commonwealth and V-Speed are tied coming into tonight for the fourth spot.
They are. The point championship is one where everybody's still got a hand in it. As of right now, like you said, 120, almost 120 points up. I think FBR is in a very good spot right now to lock down the point. But it'll be interesting to see who else is able to work their way up.
Absolutely. We'll take a look now and jump into the qualifying session here for tonight, as there is Chris Simard, who will be the first driver to roll out on track here. And as you can see, that pit exit, a very unique pit exit here tonight for this race, as well as the pit entry. It's really just a flat wall with an opening in it. These guys are going to be finding it very, very difficult to not just get off of pit road, but to get onto pit road here tonight as well.
It is. And one thing we were talking about beforehand is we heard rumor the guys coming off of pit road get the rights to the curb. So you're going to see a lot of guys try and put those left side tires down at the curb, if not on it. The guys coming off of pit road, though, have the right to that curb first versus cars on track, which is going to be very interesting to see as this race goes on.
Times are starting to come in now as Chris Simard working his second lap. Now, because this is a shorter racetrack, these drivers will get 3 laps of qualifying. Nate Siefker, the winner last week at Indianapolis, the man who has swept the Indianapolis 2 weeks, as Siefker faster on his second lap at a 22:14, a very good time for him. Siefker led 198 of the 200 laps here, what was the second to last race in Season 2. That's the only other time this series has come here to Milwaukee.
Yeah, this is my first time seeing these guys, but what we've seen is as the tires warm up, your first lap is not your best. Your second appears to be your fastest, so the tire fall off is going to be dramatic, as Siefker now jumps to the top of the board at a 21.95. He is ahead of Simard by 0.02 seconds. Scott Rankin right now sits in third. Let's see.
There is Rankin just finishing his third lap right now. Ronnie Osmer finishing his third lap. Osmer goes to the point at a 21.93, a very good time for that number 55. Here comes Jeffrey Bogan in the number 3, completing lap number 3 of his qualifying attempt. It will be faster, but not enough to move him past this man, Lyle Swearingen, who was the fastest in the practice session in that number 68.
He was, but you see as he gets really wide coming out of turn 4 there, does Swearingen. You know, the track conditions have changed a little bit. It looks like this setup's kind of tightened up a little bit. We've seen a lot of guys struggle on corner exit. Really coming out of 2, they seem to not, I don't know if they're just trying to catch the curb too much. We saw a lot of guys in practice get that rear end turned around on them, but I saw a lot coming out of turn 4. Guys drifting up into the wall.
Saw Chris Walker complete his lap, 6th quickest for the 23. Butch Davis on circuit right now. His teammate Chad Simpson not far behind, just jumped up into 3rd place here in qualifying. Simpson took the pole here for that race in Season 2. Nate Siefker dominating that race from the 2nd place starting spot. Butch Davis, 9th quickest in his final lap. Chad Simpson cannot better his tie. Here comes the man who currently sits 3rd in the point standings, Bentley Glazer. Completing his 3rd lap, he will jump from 11th up to 7th, so a solid time there for Bentley Glazer. And that will leave Shane Loveridge, Will Fletcher, Carl Burke, and Mark McFadden. The only 4 drivers right now that have not set a time. Tim Bates setting 2 laps in qualifying before calling it a night. And Scott Rankin trying to put a couple practice laps in, and there is that very awkward pit entry that these guys are going to have to face here tonight. Very tight entry, very tight exit here for pit road tonight, and Rankin trying to get a last-second practice in wherever he can.
Yeah, and that's the smart thing. We got 10 seconds left in practice. If you can work yourself, work that little bit of extra entry onto the pit road, because like you said, it is such a sharp left-hand turn to get in there. You're basically looking, like you said, for a little cutout in the wall for your mark to get on pit road.
Absolutely, as we see a nice overhead shot of this racetrack. And we've seen here tonight, and we've heard, there are going to be a couple of guys that are in a very unique situation. We had coming into this race, we had an injured list sent to us, and unfortunately the graphic that we would have used to put that up on screen so where you could see who's bugged with what, unfortunately does not work anymore. Chad Simpson in the 42, there he is. He is battling COVID-19, which he had gotten between Indianapolis and tonight's race. So the 42 is down with COVID. Mark McFadden, who he's battling with, is still battling the effects of that hand surgery that he had. Butch Davis, who qualified a little bit deeper in the field than we're used to seeing him, is still suffering with vision issues related to his Bell's palsy that he has. So he's a little bit shy out of his right eye right now. Looking through the rest of the injured list here, Chris Simard in the 77, who is just about to go back out on track. Simard is struggling with hip injuries, waiting to have surgery on his hip. And Dan Brazington, who is out on track as well, there he is behind Lyle Swearingen, he is battling right elbow injuries. So got half this league pretty banged up here going into what is going to be a very difficult night here at Milwaukee.
Yeah, we I feel like an NFL beat reporter. I love it. Guys coming into tonight, Samard, Butch Davis, they're all questionable designation tags, but they will be racing here tonight at Milwaukee. Timothy Emmanuel, who was questionable, missing a little bit, questionable coming into this weekend, is out. Tim is entertaining some folks, so he is not able to race tonight. Let's see who else. Roulette is not able to be here tonight. He is designated as out. Frank, it's Thursday night football going on with the Green Bay Packers, my Packers, go Pack go, versus the Titans. And we got a good chunk of this league coming into tonight with a questionable mark. We didn't know if they were going to even show up, Coming the other drivers weren't. Yeah, well, luckily they're okay. I'm surprised that they let Simpson in with his COVID diagnosis. I don't think he's cleared the 5-day protocol yet.
Simpson has the COVID.
That's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said Samard. My apologies.
Maybe. Simpson's got COVID. He shouldn't be cleared per the IndyCar protocol yet. McFadden's had hand surgery. He should be sitting on the IR right now. It's crazy what this league is doing. And we're racing on a 1-mile track in cars designed to go 200-plus miles an hour with high downforce. What else can go wrong?
It's fun to be on a sim sometimes where you can work through these injuries and still be able to put on one heck of a show. As we got a minute left here before the show actually does begin, and looking in the Twitch chat, Cashinit, I guess, is the name there. If you can't see the video, probably try refreshing the stream there on the Twitch side. We are showing that it is up and working. For you guys on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us here, welcoming us back in, and this will be the last time that we're going to be welcoming you in here for a couple of weeks, with Thanksgiving being next Thursday night. The series will be off, and then we get into the final 3 races of the season. It's unbelievable how quick this season's flown by. As we are about ready to jump into the race.
If I unmuted.
About ready
I'm sitting here talking to myself. I'm like, we're getting ready to go. I hate how fast the season's been going, and then you start talking. I go, what am I? Oh, wait, I'm muted.
About ready to get into this race here tonight, and it is going to be one fun one here at Indianapolis, at the Milwaukee Mile. Take a look at the starting grid here for tonight's race. Ronnie Osmer will start on the pole with a time of 21.931. Nate Siefker will line up next to him in row number 1. Row 2 will go to Chad Simpson and Scott Rankin. Chris Samard and Lyle Swearingen will make up row 3. Bentley Glazer and Chris Walker will make up row 4. Jake Walsh and Butch Davis will sit in row 5. Jeffrey Bogan and Dan Inch will make up row number 6. Row 7 will see Dan Brazington and Timothy Bates. Mike Grandy and Mark McFadden will make up row number 7. Row 8 will see Connor Nixon and Shane Loveridge. Will Fletcher and Carl Burke will make up the 20 drivers that we will see circulating this Milwaukee Mile here tonight. Taking a look at the weather conditions here for tonight's race, we are about 1 p.m. in sim time on the 20th of October, so it should be a cooler day, and it is 75-degree ambient temperature, 84-degree track temperature. Greg, it is going to be quite the day here in Wisconsin.
Oh, for sure. And like you said, it's cool exterior temp, so the cars are going to be making a ton of horsepower. Low temperature track. Ton of grip for these tires to have. A tight racetrack where you can go 2 wide. You don't want to be 3 wide, but you can make it happen. And Frank, we're getting ready to, well, no, here we have 2 laps. No, it's going to be tough. I think we have 2 laps for warm-up, do we not?
Going to see here. No, we do
not.
No,
we don't.
Getting set to go. 180 laps here from the Milwaukee Mile. We are green.
Ronnie Osmer gets a great run down into turn 1. He's going to hug that bottom line, but here comes Siefker. Gets to the outside corner. He's going to have the run down the backstretch. He's going to try and get himself clear. Doesn't do so. Osmer fights back on the bottom. We've seen both lanes be preferred, Frank, so it's going to be interesting to see how these guys have made adjustments to their cars as Siefker leads that first lap. You know, it'll be interesting to see how they've adjusted them going forward.
Ronnie Osmer now jumping out to the race lead. Osmer trying to do something that only one other person did at the end of Season 2, and that was take a lap from Nate Siefker here. Osmer coming across the line. He will lead this lap. He becomes the first man to win pole here at Milwaukee to actually lead a lap, and he becomes just the 3rd driver here at Milwaukee to actually lead a lap. Again, 200 laps was the distance at the end of Season 2. Nate Siefker led 198. Jeff Hollingsworth led the other 2.
While all this is going on, I'm taking a peek through the pack. Chris Simard and Butch Davis. Butch Davis gets ahead of Simard here as they go into turn 1. A lot of these guys have strung out single file right now, Frank. Everybody's kind of rolling the bottom, minding their time for now. But I'm looking back, you see, who is that? Is that Grandy? No, it's not. I'm off a little bit.
Riding on board with Jake Walsh in the 33.
You saw Brazington up on the high side there making that move work. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to watch these guys change their lines as tires wear out based on the adjustments that they make in their car. You know, a couple of little fights going on. Butch Davis, Chris Walker haven't settled this thing out as they go side by side into turn 1. Davis hugging that bottom. Walker trying to roll that top side. Doesn't get clear. That's going to allow Simard to catch back up and try and make a move going into turn 3.
And you'll notice that these corners around here are not symmetrical, especially down in turns 1 and 2. Turns 1 and 2 comes to a point in the center of that corner as we'll ride on board here with Chris Walker. There is that point. That's where you want to be apexing the corner, not earlier than that. Otherwise, you set yourself up for a very wide exit here going onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, and looking through 3 and 4, there's kind of that weird little flat section about 3/4 of the way through the turn that's throwing some guys off right now. And, you know, maybe that's what we were seeing, where guys were getting very tight coming in. So we'll wait and see what happens going forward.
With Simard going side by side with Chris Walker, pardon me. We were just on board with the 23. There's Simard looking to the inside. Again, tonight's race being sponsored by Commonwealth Motorsports. 2 of their 3 drivers are here tonight. Shane Loveridge has joined the fun here in that number 72. This will be the first time that Shane Loveridge has competed in a race this season since going back through my notes here. This will be the first time that he has competed in a race this season since back at Richmond. He has competed in the first 3 races of the season. Auto Club Kentucky and Richmond did not finish any of the 3. The second of the 3 Commonwealth Motorsports drivers, Mark McFadden, currently biding his time right now, running in the 18th position. And the one missing here tonight is Kevin O'Brien in the 84. Thank you guys very much for sponsoring this race here tonight, as we see Chris Walker has been able to hold off Chris Simard here for just a moment.
Absolutely. Up front, Ronnie Osmer, you're not missing too much right now, folks. We're focusing on the battle back here between Walker, Samard, Bogan. Up front, Ronnie Osmer has about a 9/10 of a second lead, has just turned the fastest sector one time here over Nate Siefker. Scott Rankin in third, Chad Simpson in fourth, and Lyle Swearingen round out your top five. But this is one of your closest battles right here. Or we jump a little further back, Mike Grandy and Shane Loveridge are putting on a little bit of a heated battle there, as these guys are really starting to figure this car out, figuring out what they've got underneath them, and we're going to start to see those that are able to save those tires, save that right front especially. We'll see who's able to keep this going long term, and who's going to really be putting a run together, because right now we are almost about a third of a way into a fuel run, where we're hearing anywhere from 48 to 54 laps, Frank. So we still got a long way to go for these guys. They have unlimited tires, but fuel will be their issue.
We understand that there is an issue going on right now on the Twitch side of things as far as the stream is concerned. It's showing we're streaming. I personally am showing video, so I'm not entirely sure what the situation is going on over on Twitch. We are trying to figure it out. In the meantime, if you are trying to watch this race on Twitch and you can hear us, jump on over to the Sim Racing Media YouTube page. We can confirm we do have video over there. We are trying to work on and figure out whatever is happening over on the Twitch side, as we see a battle for the fourth position here. Chad Simpson battling with Lyle Swearingen. Swearingen on the outside. Simpson trying to hold station on the inside.
Yeah, we're starting to see that outside kind of pull a little bit more of an advantage on the exit, especially out of two. So it's going to be, like I said, we don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, bud. The racing is right now kind of evened out. A lot of guys are single file. We've seen people biding their time. We've seen a lot of guys like Simpson. Simpson, this whole season, has been known for changing and throwing the fuel numbers that we've calculated or and have been shown to us, has been thrown totally out the window whenever it comes to Chad Simpson. So who knows? We think he's running, 95%. Turn around, he's running about 60%, pulls 5 laps of fuel on everybody else out of nowhere.
Simpson falling back off of that 68 of Swearingen a little bit, as Lyle has turned his attention to Scott Rankin, currently running in the third position. Now the two leaders have somewhat checked out here. Ronnie Osmer has opened up a 1.2 second lead over Nate Siefker. Siefker has a 2.2 second lead over Scott Rankin and the rest of the field. Now there's a little bit of a gap forming between 8th and 9th place. Jeffrey Bogan has gotten around Chris Walker, as Walker's starting to fall back a little bit. Chris Samard and Jeffrey Bogan have both gotten past him. Bogan now 1.4 seconds to the good over Chris Walker, holding just inside the top 10. Right now, Bentley Glazer currently occupying that 10th position, and Glazer has had a very, very quiet season here, running in third place in points, but he has not been up towards the front for a vast majority of these races, but always seems to find himself somewhere in the mix when it comes to the end of the race.
He does, and I've raced with Bentley before. He's very methodical. He takes this race lap by lap. He doesn't overexert and take more than what that car can give him. He keeps himself in a safe position, keeps himself clean, and like you said, he stays around to the end. He's a guy that works his way up through the long run, and he's somebody that through consistency is sitting third in points. He doesn't have a win, unlike Siefker and Simpson, but he's consistent, and he does it week in and week out. Get the top fives, get the top threes when they're available. But he won't go out and take more than what this car is able to give.
Certainly not, as we are inching ever closer to the expected pit window here for these cars. As everyone now starting to spread out a little bit. Worth noting, only 18 drivers took the green flag here tonight. Will Fletcher and Carl Burke, we had mentioned them earlier. They both did not start this race. So Mark McFadden, running in 18th, was the last driver to take the green flag here tonight. As Osmer now really in control of this race, has led 27 of the first 28 laps, now 28 of the first 29 here. It's looking very solid, is that 55, and holding an aggressive pace, but still very much in control.
Absolutely. And with Osmer, he ran well last week at Indianapolis. He got caught up, from my recollection, got caught up in a wreck somewhere around the middle of the race. Didn't have the best to finish it, but he was solid. And we are seeing it again tonight now, the speeds aren't the same, but the similarities of the corners are there. It's a flat corner, not a lot of banking, so you're not able to lean the car or really dive it down on your entry. But we're seeing the same tendencies come back out for him. You know, flat corner tracks he has a big moment coming out of turn 2 there. Almost hit the wall, but, you know, he's showing right now why he qualified on pole and why he's putting his name out there to go out and win this race.
And that has been one of the things that we have definitely seen out of Ronnie Osmer, mentioning that mistake he almost had coming out of turn 2. He has been very prone to being in a good spot and finding a way to end up taking it away from himself. Now, he does have a good handful of wins here in this series, but he has thrown away races, and we've seen it even this year. He has thrown away races that could, one, have possibly given him a fight for a championship, and two, possibly a fight for a couple more race wins than what he's had.
Yeah, it's the way I like to put it, Frank, is the way that my grandfather-in-law says it to me with my Friday night racing. If you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all.
Unfortunately, speaking of stepdads, there is Dan Brazington, who stepfather is very active in the chat, on the YouTube side at least. Brazington going, in-laws, pardon me, I said stepfather, in-laws, father-in-law, there it was. There's your Freudian slip of the night.
I was going to let you do your thing, bud.
Brazington to the inside of Chris Walker, trying to take that 10th position. Now, Bentley Glazer, we saw him sitting behind Chris Walker earlier on, about 4 or 5 laps ago, took the spot, just as Brazington's about to do right now, and has put 2 seconds on this pair. Boy, that outside line still allows you to really get a good run. However, it's that inside line that does give you the advantage. It took him a couple laps, but Brazington got the move done.
Yeah, this isn't a track like an Auto Club or a Michigan or even a Pocono where you can make the run in one corner. You have to set it up. It takes a long time to do. Like how I compared this to Indianapolis. Last week, you couldn't make a pass from a second back like you could at, let's say, an Auto Club. It takes a while. And you're seeing it here, those guys like Brazington. He sets it up, uses a high line coming out of 2 when he was trying to gain and get ahead of Walker, then dove it to the bottom in 3 and 4 to get the advantage on that little bit of a wider corner. So we're seeing tendencies start to show up and change. Guys have adjusted their cars. They know what they've got. And a little bit further up, that battle again between Davis, Simpson, Samard, And Bogan, they're all right back together, and now there's lap traffic. Traffic with them.
We've been seeing this, and there are 6 drivers on screen, 4 of them racing with injuries, as we led off with during the warm-up session. Butch Davis with vision problems out of his right eye, Chad Simpson with COVID, Chris Simard with hip issues, Mark McFadden with hand issues related to a surgery he has had recently. As Simpson just falling out of the top 5 here for the first time tonight, as Butch Davis has slowly worked his way up. He is the biggest mover of the race, +5 on the night is that 43. And right now we've talked about how good FBR Motorsports has been this season. Their drivers running 4th, 5th, and 6th right now.
Yeah, they're doing a great job right now. Up front, we saw Osmer turn the fastest Sector 1 once again. So, man, I don't know what to think of this place anymore, Frank. I thought I had it figured out, and these guys throw me for a loop again.
Seeing off the back of Chris Simard right now. We saw his battle up front with Chad Simpson. Now seeing off the back, trying to get away from Jeffrey Bogan. Off the front wing of Simard. This is one of the better shots that we've got here to really gives you a sense of speed and how quick these guys are going and how sharp some of these turns appear to these guys as they sit in the cockpit here, with how low we are to the ground right here on the front nose cone.
I'm a big fan of the cockpit. When we're able to put the GoPros on the guy's helmet, I did put one on Simard's coming into tonight, and we talk about flat. That, like you said, the noses, we've got a yellow right now, Frank.
Yep, we do.
Shane
Caution
Loveridge
is out.
hasn't.
Ooh, that's a big hit for Shane Loveridge. Oh! That was Scott Rankin, who he came across and caught. Driver who was running in 3rd position.
Oh!
Is going to be a casualty.
Yeah, and that's a tough one. That's a tough one to have for Scott. Putting together a great race, just wrong place, wrong time there. But, with that, Loveridge was off the wall. I'm going back to take a look to see a little bit more of what happened.
Loveridge just lost it on his own coming through 3 and 4, ends up hitting the wall, and as he's trying to turn it around and get straightened back out again, Scott Rankin came in at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, Loveridge just wanted to get that car to the inside, get it to pit road as quick as he could, and
on
just
the
couldn't.
Cam with Rankin now.
Yeah, just couldn't get down there in time.
And that will afford these guys the opportunity to come into pit, or has afforded these guys the opportunity to come into pit under caution instead of doing so under green flag conditions. Ronnie Osmer will retain the race lead as the first caution of the night, a single car spin for Shane Loveridge, collecting Scott Rankin as he was trying to get the car righted. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You are watching round number 11 for the Sim Racers Edge Season 5 from the Milwaukee Mile.
Are you struggling to keep up with the top drivers? Are you ready to get faster and more consistent? If so, it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. With the VRS competitive subscription, you'll have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything you need to analyze your driving and see exactly where you're losing time. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off your lap times. When it comes to your equipment holding you back, the powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the best drivers in the world, including Jordan Caruso, Tim Ryan, Jordi Lopez, and Oscar Piastri. It's no secret that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also the best value for money. So if you're looking to upgrade your wheelbase to direct drive and want highly adjustable, ultra-realistic pedals, VRS is your answer. You can get better, faster, and more consistent in less time and for less money. You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. Just go to the URL or the button below and learn why the best use VRS.
About to go back to green flag racing here at the Milwaukee Mile, working lap number 50 here of 180. Ronnie Osmer has led all but the first lap of this race. Single file restart. We are off and running again here from Milwaukee.
Great restart by Osmer. He's going to get clear by about 4 car lengths going into turn 1. Swings it a little bit wide coming down the back stretch. The guys start to go a little bit too wide in the back. Other than that, your first 10 all sit in single file.
Jeffrey Bogan had a very close encounter with the rear wing of Chad Simpson going into turn 1. Dan Brazington trying to make a move on Chris Walker. Chris Walker in the 23 in that gray and green machine on the outside line. Very good on the short run during that first stint. However, the longer run left a lot to be desired as he fell well off of where he was earlier on in the race.
Yeah, now that he knows that information, hopefully he made a tweak with his in-car adjustments to help kind of save that car better for the long run. He knows what he needs, like you said, for the short. When you come back, if you got a 10, 20 lap run, as Walker looks like he caught the wall a little bit going into turn 3, he's giving up a ton of positions right now.
Definitely got at least loose in turn 3. And that will drop Chris Walker all the way back from 9th to about 13th. As that is the 52 of Dan Inch behind him. Mike Grandy, VooDoo Racing teammate, right in front of him. Bentley Glazer trying to hold off Chris Samard. This is the highest up Bentley Glazer has been here tonight. 7th position, the position he started in that number 4. Chad Simpson sitting just in front of him. Ronnie Osmer, Nate Siefker, Lyle Swearingen, Butch Davis, Jeffrey Bogan. Your current top 5. Take a look a little bit further back. That is the 96 of Connor Nixon trying to put pressure on Jake Walsh.
Yeah, Nixon trying to get to that back bumper. Doesn't get there going into 1. He's going to see what kind of run he can set up coming down the short backstretch here. But, we're seeing Nixon try and keep that right front wing clear to keep some extra downforce on it, to keep that right front tire cool in order to allow him to make that dive bomb run to get ahead of Jake Walsh.
Connor Nixon, one of the 3 Aussies in the race here tonight, as Butch Davis and Jeffrey Bogan starting to get close. Shane Loveridge being one of them. Scott Rankin being another, and both of those 2 caught up in the incident that brought out our 1 caution of the night. Back to Nixon, working to the inside of Jake Walsh. You can see really mounting that curb on the inside of turns 1 and 2. Got that car really upset. Has to give the position back to Jake Walsh.
Yeah, he did a great job saving that car. He had the run coming out of 4. Got ahead of Jake Walsh there for a little bit. Walsh was able to battle back going into turn 1. And like you said, Nixon just caught that curb, got a little too greedy with it. Luckily, he was able to save that car, which is very tough to do from what we've seen in these Indy cars this year, but did a great job, and he's going to live to battle again.
Absolutely. Is Nixon settling down in that 11th position right now. Bentley Glazer still locked in battle with Chris Simard. Simard, one of those guys that came on a lot later in the run. So Simard still has a lot of room to improve in that number 77. As you can see, just in front, the trio of Butch Davis, Jeffrey Bogan, and Chad Simpson all trying to do battle here for the 4th spot.
Yeah, these guys aren't letting each other get away again. Lyle Swearingen now about a second back of Nate Siefker, who's about almost a second and a quarter back on their leader, Ronnie Osmer. Ronnie has just checked out after that restart here on lap 6. Now turning lap 61 of 180. He's taken a 1.3 second lead. Swearingen's closing in. He's down to under 0.6 of a second to Nate Siefker, but not close enough to make any kind of a move just yet.
Ronnie Osmer has been incredibly good today, and this will be a nice feeling for him. His last win in this series, he took 4 wins in Season 3. Round number 4 at Watkins Glen was his first win of the season. Then after that, went winless until the final 3 races at Atlanta and the doubleheader at Indianapolis, where he won all 3 races. So this is the first time he has really been in a dominant position to win a race, and I know there's still more than half the race to go. But if he can hold on here to take this win, it'll be his first since the Indianapolis 250 to end out Season 3.
Yeah, and he's doing a great job right now. He's holding about that 1.2, 1.3 second gap. Just managing tires, doing whatever he's got to do. A little bit further back, Mike Grandy trying to get on Jake Walsh there. He's closed this gap back in. He's kind of using that little bit higher line in the center of 3 and 4. I've been watching him do that more and more. And it's worked for him to close in. Walsh has just been able to get that little better exit. But these guys are starting to close back up here. Your battle up front's spread out a little bit, as it looks like Osmer's may have had a little bit of an issue because he's lost about 0.3 to Nate Siefker.
Take a look back up there as Osmer, we saw him starting to fall back a little bit. And by the way, just to close the book on Ronnie Osmer, 5 wins on the season. Those 5 wins on his Sim Racer's Edge career, pardon me. He has won the 4 races that we had mentioned in Season 3, and in Season 2, winning at the Daytona Road Course. That was the first road course race in the history of the series that Nate Siefker did not win. He swept the road course in Season 1 and had won the race at Monza earlier on in that season. And looked like he was going to be able to do it again at Daytona, but he was taken out early.
Yeah, it was something you hated to see. But he's showing tonight that he's won 5 times in this season, or this league so far. Back out to a 1.3, 1.4 second gap. The battle I'm watching right now is Simard and Glazer. Simard's closed right back in to that rear end of Glazer. A little bit of lap traffic has allowed that to happen. It looks, as we're looking at this, Chris Walker appears to have come down pit lane, trying to see if this is a strategy call or if he has any bit of damage.
Chris Walker in the 23 did come down pit road, and the lap car that brought these two, Glazer and Simard, together would have been Glazer's teammate in the 21. That is Tim Bates. 2 cars have retired from this race thus far, Scott Rankin and Shane Loveridge.
My friend, it's now 3. Chris Walker has left the race for tonight, put it on the hauler.
It's unfortunate for Chris Walker, as mentioned the incident involving Shane Loveridge and Scott Rankin. We are going to bring Scott Rankin in with us now. Scott, you were running in 3rd, had a solid car here tonight. Unfortunately, just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already. I've got my stream up. I'm reviewing what I can. It's too painful to have a look at the footage in sim at the moment, so I didn't really want to have a look at that. But the benefits at the moment is reviewing it through my Twitch channel and whatnot. I can actually have a look at my pressures, what I'm doing. I can listen to the engine. There's a whole bunch of different things that I can look at. Shane made a mistake. Unfortunately, I paid the price, but Shane made a mistake, man. Yeah, he apologized straight away. Just didn't recognize. I think he got a couple broken wheels, so he's not 100% in control of his car. That's racing. It's just frustrating that it's come at the end of probably one of the worst weeks I've had in the last couple months. And yeah, the first time I actually managed to qualify the car in a really, really good spot. So what can you do?
How did the car feel driving out there tonight? It's looking like single file racing is on order here tonight. Looks difficult to pass, takes a couple laps. What's it like being in the driver's seat?
I did a lot of practice of putting myself in positions to make overtakes. So if you haven't practiced that, you won't get it done at Milwaukee, is the first and foremost thing. Very heavy, a lot of load going through the cars. Remember, this is the highest downforce profile that these cars have, and quite rightly so. Milwaukee's just such a track that if you respect it, it's a bit like Bathurst in ways. If you respect it, it'll respect you, you know. You've got to be aware of the pain points of where you're going to position the car, what you're going to do, how to drive the cars in a narrow aero window, in the dirty air, how to position the car correctly. Learning from the guys all night, actually. I made a lot of jumps in terms of my lap time and tire performance actually in the race. It was the best I was sort of starting to feel. So we made a lot of tweaks with the bars, with the weight jacker. We were progressively going softer. Started a lot stiffer than I've ever started on the ARBs tonight. And went in a really, really positive direction with the car overall. So, you know, there's a lot of lessons even from that short run that it's something that I haven't tried before, and it really paid off. So,
Scott Rankin, an unfortunate night of what looked to be a very good night comes to an end, unfortunately early. Scott, good luck coming up in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, there'll be no yeehaw tonight, unfortunately. So. Yeah, look, I mean, it is what it is. You guys have a great Thanksgiving over there, which we don't celebrate. I'd love to eat some turkey next week, but that ain't going to happen over here in Australia. But thank you very much for having me, and pleasure. And I just want to say a big shout out to the league and everyone. I reacted very aggressively immediately after that incident tonight. That's not me. Just a frustrating week, man. And I want to say my big apologies to everyone that's involved. I don't want that to be my standard, and I thank everyone for giving me the time of day to say that as well.
Well, there you go. Scott Rankin, bud. Good luck in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night. Good luck with the call.
See you, Scott.
For Scott Rankin, unfortunately, as we were watching that battle for fifth between Jeffrey Bogan and Chad Simpson, his debut on the series, a 17th place finish at Charlotte, unfortunately did not finish that race. He has not finished outside of the top 5 since that debut race at Charlotte. He's finished 4th at Interlagos, 3rd at Atlanta, Phoenix, and on the oval at Indianapolis, and 5th on the road course at Indianapolis. So a very good string of races, unfortunately gone for the 56, and it looked as though, at least early on, that it was going to go that way again here tonight.
Yeah, he was setting himself up. You know, like you said, you could see he was starting to pull some of the lap times down. Just bad, wrong place, wrong time for him. You know, as a driver, there's nothing you hate more than having your race affected by another driver's mistake. You know, is kind of the simplest way to put it. It was no way intentional from Shane. He was doing everything as he can to get himself off the track. Scott had to make a 50-50 choice, and sadly guessed this one wrong.
It doesn't feel like a 50-50 choice, as we were on board with Chad Simpson as he got around Jeffrey Bogan there. It doesn't feel like a 50-50 choice when you see a car stopped at the outside and you're taking the inside. It seems like 100-0 choice, but when that car on the outside starts moving unexpectedly, that's when it turns into that 50-50 chance, as Bogan starting to fall a little bit backwards as Mark McFadden getting lapped for the second time here tonight. Bentley Glazer, Chris Simard starting to catch up to the 42 and the 3. As we inch closer and closer to halfway, that lead up at the front has fluctuated a little bit between Osmer and Siefker. However, it has not gone below a second since Osmer broke that 1 second barrier.
Yeah, Osmer had to get through a little bit of lap traffic there with Tim Bates. But, you know, he was able to navigate it. Siefker is able to make his way through. But Ronnie Osmer, once he got through, once he started getting back to his line, he opened that gap back up to 1.2. And he's kind of sat there for a little while now.
Take a look at the time delta between himself and Nate Siefker. Dipped below a little bit there on lap 85. But other than that, it has been Ronnie Osmer up at the front of this. Again, he has led all but one lap here today, and that was the first. As Siefker took that first lap, Lyle Swearingen currently running in the 3rd position, started in 6th, was the fastest driver in practice, has gotten himself up into that 3rd position. Swearingen, we haven't said this too much here recently. He was a big factor in the races earlier on this season, but Lyle Swearingen right now the highest running of the FBR Motorsports crew.
Yeah, Swearingen's doing a great job. He's kind of riding around, minding his time right now. He's able to close that gap a little bit to Siefker, but that one, you know, is as well holding about a second or so. I don't know whether Lyle's running, you know, he's backing himself off a little bit, just trying to maintain the specific gap, doing what he needs to do either for fuel or for tire wear. While all that's going on, right behind him, Butch Davis has closed that gap down to about 0.9 of a second. So Butch is starting to roll his way forward. He's up 6 spots on the night so far from where he started.
Second fastest car of the drivers in the top 5, as Ronnie Osmer has just set the fastest lap of the race at a 21.96.
Which is crazy.
It's 3/100ths of a second off his pole time, and the only driver to do a sub 22 in this race.
And oh hey, he did it, what, 40 laps into a run?
45. We're getting close to pit stops here. Last time these guys came into pit was lap 46. It's lap 93.
Yeah, they're getting up there. What we were hearing about 48 to 54 laps. Guys were going to get on a tank of Go Fast, which means for Simpson, we have no idea how far he's going to go tonight, as we joked coming into this. Simpson's been Mr. Fuel Save, and right now he's sitting in 5th place. He's about, 4 seconds back on Osmer.
Yeah, about
not
6,
that far out. Not that far at all. Total pit lane times, we're seeing about 20 to 29 seconds. Simpson playing a fuel game again? I'm going to put my money down on yes. What his game is, I'm lost.
What was that you said during pre-race, that it's 48 to 54 laps for everybody? Simpson, that probably means about 60 to 65?
Yes. That's pretty much my exact quote.
Look a little bit further behind. This is 3 seconds behind Chad Simpson. Jeffrey Bogan, Bentley Glazer, Chris Simard battling for the 6th position. Simard has fallen off a little bit over the last couple of laps, but Glazer has kept glued to the back of that number 3 of Jeffrey Bogan, as Dan Brazington will be the first of the drivers to peel it off down onto pit road, as it is scheduled pit stop time here at Milwaukee.
Absolutely. And while all that's going on, I just need to update. While we were talking, since we first looked at Osmer and jumped back, Osmer's now got a 2.5 second lead over Siefker.
Yep.
So I don't know what Ronnie has found in this car, but that gap is growing again as this run comes down towards the end. Bentley Glazer looking to the outside of Jeffrey Bogan. Bogan's coming into pit. Glazer's going to get another spot. Put Glazer up into 6th place here, starting lap 90.
And another thing, this is, as we've mentioned throughout the season, this is an open fixed league, which means it is a custom setup that these guys run, but it is the same custom setup that all of these drivers run. This is tweaked from the iRacing base, and these guys work very, very hard and very, very diligently to make sure that they give these guys the best cars possible. Go back to that race at Auto Club earlier this year. You're not going to get racing at Auto Club on the fixed setup, the standard iRacing setup that you got at Auto Club this year. You're not going to get racing like we saw at Indianapolis last week with the stock iRacing setup. Ronnie Osmer, as he comes into pit road now from the race lead, has only dropped off a couple of tenths of a second over nearly 60 laps here at Milwaukee for him to still be running within tenths of his best lap and setting his best lap. As there's one of those mistakes that we've talked about with Osmer. But for these guys to be running that close to their personal bests is unbelievable this deep in a run.
Now, Ronnie Osmer came in about 2.5 seconds ahead of Siefker. With that little hiccup, he is now down to 0.2 of a lead as we see them battling within lap traffic between Osmer and Simpson and Siefker. As Butch Davis, your leader, comes in, Siefker gets the lead over Ronnie Osmer here. Let's see what Ronnie does. He dives it deep into turn one, tries to use that outside momentum. He's going to get the run a little bit, not going to be able to clear himself as they go diving into turn three. Ronnie Osmer doing everything he can to maintain that outside lane, but Siefker gets the run coming out of turn four. Siefker up front, not your official race leader yet. That belongs to Chad Simpson, who is on pit road at the moment. Dan Inch will come into pit road now as we speak.
Yeah, we just saw Dan Inch enter pit road, and that's how difficult this pit entry is. You have to be very slow, and it's a very tight left-handed turn to get into pit road. And now Nate Siefker will take the race lead free and clear for the first time tonight. As we talked about it earlier on, Osmer has been prone to making small mistakes that put him out or put him behind. He's done it again, and it's put him behind.
It's a mental mistake, as I knew it in football, and it's human nature. It's going to happen. The key for Ronnie now is how does he reset? He's still got 72 or 74 laps to go at the line. How does he reset? He knows he has a great long run car. He's 0.7 of a second back right now to Nate Siefker. The key for Ronnie, put that pit stall behind him, put his foot back down to the floor, and make the lap times that he knows he can do.
One very interesting point of note for Ronnie Osmer, this is the first time tonight, as far as the race session is concerned, that he has been consistently in dirty air, so it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. The green flag pit cycle is done. We still have one more stop to make. Nate Siefker now out in front here at Milwaukee, just over 70 to go.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
Round 11 action here for Sim Racer's Edge from the legendary Milwaukee Mile. Nate Siefker, after a mistake on pit road by Ronnie Osmer, has taken the race lead and has extended that during the break from just a couple of tenths to 1.7 seconds, Lyle Swearingen sits third. Butch Davis sits fourth. Chad Simpson with the fastest lap of the race now, sitting in P5. Tim Bates has retired the car. He's sitting in the 15th position. Chris Walker retiring as well. Scott Rankin and Shane Loveridge involved in the one and only caution of the night. Those two retired back on lap 45. Will Fletcher and Carl Burke did not start this race. We are inside of 60 laps to go here at Milwaukee.
Yeah, Frank, and while we were just talking about that, Osmer's now dropped back almost another 0.6 of a second. He's down to 2 seconds behind Siefker. Got a little bit of lap traffic there with Jake Walsh. Had a little bit of trouble getting around him going into 3. But Siefker now out to a 2.1 second lead over Ronnie Osmer. And we talked about it, Frank. You know, you were questioning whether Osmer is saving more tire in the early stage of the run, because we saw in about the last 5 to 6 laps, he was able to gain about a second over Siefker. I would tend to agree, but at this point, being where he's at, I don't know if he's made a wrong adjustment or what, but that car does not seem to be handling the same for him like it was for the first 100 laps.
And part of the reason is we see Ronnie Osmer in that Mick Schumacher-inspired helmet. News broke down as of last night Mick Schumacher will not be in Formula One next season. Nico Hulkenberg has taken his seat in the Haas F1 team for 2023. So Mick Schumacher, after a couple of seasons in Formula One, done after scoring points only once in his F1 career. As, again, part of the reason Osmer was so slow, was caught up, we saw him blow the pit box. That was part of it. Nate Siefker, cone to cone, 27.52 seconds. Ronnie Osmer, 29.02 seconds from cone to cone on pit road. Osmer's sliding through turn 4.
Yeah, that was a big save for Osmer right there. He's going to lose second place for the moment to Lyle Swearingen off that outside. Swearingen's going to get the run. Osmer, I don't know if he made a tweak during that pit stall, but whatever he did is not agreeing with that car.
Yeah, that seems like he has either over-adjusted or overcompensated. He's over-driving it right now, is the only over that is guaranteed for that car. Bentley Glazer has come down pit road. Bentley Glazer out of the 7th position. Now we are just outside of the you can make it from here window, but on fuel and tires, on a tire that has not lost any grip at all here tonight. Maybe this could be Bentley Glazer's ditch effort to try to get some spots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it if you're not able to beat the leaders on time alone, beat them on strategy. As Ronnie Osmer's making that exact same move. They're right at 50 laps, so we know they can make it on fuel from here. It's close, but it's right at that ragged edge. The key for Osmer is going to be, well, here's the other interesting thing with what Osmer's done. You remember, where was Osmer the strongest out of his entire run?
The longer run.
Exactly. What he's trying to do is, and by doing that, he's pulled Simard in as well. What he's looking for, in my mind, is to make sure that when Siefker and Swearingen and those guys come into pit, because everybody has to pit. Nobody can make it, 78, 79 laps on fuel. He's working to do everything that he can right now to get that car to be in its sweet spot with less fuel on tires that are warm in an area that he is most comfortable in when Siefker's got to come in and make his stop.
It is the long end of the fuel stint for sure. However, this might be Osmer's play, as Ronnie Osmer coming up now to the 52 of Dan Inch. That is for the 8th position between the 55 and the 52. Over the course of the night, during through the sponsor scroll there down in the bottom left, you have seen a different one for CWM, that is Commonwealth Motorsports. They have been the sponsor for tonight's race. 3 drivers participating in that team, Mark McFadden being one of them, currently running in the 14th position. In the number 5, Shane Loveridge, we saw what happened to him earlier on in the number 72. And unfortunately, the third member of the trio, Kevin O'Brien, not able to make the night. Thank you guys very much for sponsoring tonight's race. Commonwealth Motorsports doing the bidding here for tonight's race. And currently, as it stands right now, currently in their best ever finishing position in the team's championship, 4th place is where they find themselves in. That's where they finished last year. That is where they finished in season 3. They finished 6th in the team standings in season 2 and in season 1. So it is a very consistent team, that Commonwealth Motorsports.
Yeah, and they're showing it again tonight. These guys coming out, doing what they know how to do, turning laps, staying consistent, just doing whatever they can to make sure they finish every single lap. As while all that's going on, Ronnie Osmer has gotten ahead of Dan Inge, so put Osmer up to 8th place. Jake Walsh is ahead of him, and Jake Walsh is
wiggling through turn 4, running in 7th position, I think is where you were going with that.
Yeah, Osmer's catching him. He's down to 0.7 of a second. So it looks like Osmer's gone back on whatever tweaks he made to that car during that green flag pit stop, as Dan Brazington's now coming in as well. Osmer's certainly running a lot closer to his best lap times now, about a 10th or not even a 10th off of his fastest lap of the race. But we talked before, Frank, about a certain driver that we're calling Mr. Consistency right now. He's riding in 9th place, and he's got the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Bentley Glazer, while we were focusing on what was going on with Ronnie Osmer and the other drivers in the pit cycle, Bentley Glazer has become the 3rd driver here tonight to sneak under that 22-second barrier, 21.93 for the number 4, and he was the first of the drivers to come down pit road here during this break in the pit strategy, as we're under 40 laps to go. Osmer and Walsh now battling side by side. This is for 6th, or were battling side by side for 6th.
That was a deep dive by Osmer to try and get to the inside of Jake Walsh. Walsh slammed that door on him. Ronnie's got to reset, and he's got to make another charge at him here, as we should be expecting those drivers that came in on lap 101 to 104 of your top 4 drivers. They should be coming in about the next 10 to 15 lap.
Jake Walsh taking a wide entry into turn 3. Osmer deciding to go a little bit more shallow, and they both almost met in the middle. As there goes Osmer down to the inside. Ronnie Osmer to P6 as Walsh trying to do a crossover here as Osmer overextended himself on corner exit.
Yeah, Walsh drove it a little bit, or not Walsh, Osmer drove it a little bit too deep on exit. He's going to have the advantage right now of that outside line. He takes 6th spot away from Jake Walsh. Osmer's now got to reset, get back to his line, and start racing down the leaders again like he was doing before, because he lost about 0.3 of a second that last lap battling next to Jake Walsh.
Well, to be fair, it might take Ronnie Osmer a minute to get up into the top 5. Jeffrey Bogan currently occupying that 5th position. Just a workable 19.5 seconds clear of Ronnie Osmer. And, of course, that gap will go away when Jeffrey Bogan eventually does come down pit road here in what we're expecting to be the not-so-distant future as we take a look at the last time the drivers in the top 5 all came down to pit. Everyone beyond the century mark except for the aforementioned number 3, Jeffrey Bogan, who came into pit on lap 98. Siefker 101, Swearingen 102, Davis 103, Simpson 104.
Yeah, Bogan now is coming into pit road, has a great pit entry, does a fantastic job of keeping that speed in that short little pit entry window. As right now, he's coming in, and did he blow through? Nope, he's good. Just looked like how with the yellow line there, it looked like he blew through his stall just a little bit, but not according to iRacing. Bogan in and out pit road, 28.87 seconds. He now sits in 9th place.
The pit lines here at Milwaukee aren't necessarily indicative of where the pit stall actually is, the iRacing interpretation of the pit stall. As worth reminding once again that drivers coming out of pit road have the right of way as far as that curb goes in turns 1 and 2. So drivers on pit exit can breathe out a little bit more coming through turns 1 and 2. And Butch Davis doing what he just did there through that corner as he now slides in within a second of Lyle Swearingen. May not want to do that if somebody's coming out of pit road below him.
Did you bring that up, Frank? Because you think that's going to play a part, possibly, for this fight for the lead here in a couple laps? I don't know, Siefker, Swearingen, Davis, Simpson all have to come in when, maybe the guy sitting in 5th place running, almost a 1/10 of a second faster than those around him is going to be coming around at full speed?
Just making sure that we're all aware of the rules. That's all
We
I
are
was doing there.
We are doing our best to keep the masses informed on the rule set and everybody on the same page. The last thing we need is folks to not know the rules.
No intended foreshadowing there as Lyle Swearingen comes down pit road from 2nd position. A cool 50 laps from when he last took down pit road. Jake Walsh follows him in. And now Nate Siefker will jump down pit road, and it's going to be interesting here as we'll throw the track map up. Look for car number 55 coming around. He's going to pass Nate Siefker now, but that is just to get him back onto the lead lap. Where he comes out in relation to that one after the pit stop is what we're going to be watching for.
Now, Siefker's starting to roll now, so we're going to see he's out in 27.7. Osmer was a 27.8. Osmer coming out and crossing the line now. He's about half a lap behind Siefker.
A quarter of a lap. He's got a straightaway advantage on the 55, which will equate
about 6 seconds.
As Butch Davis comes in. Oh, watch Ronnie Osmer. Oh, my goodness, getting close once again with Mark McFadden.
Yeah, they nearly had a meeting of the minds back when Osmer made his green flag pit stops. That while we were under commercial break, that was a little bit scary. Butch Davis has come in as well. He is on his pit exit. And like we said, let's see if there's any need for that yellow line. No, foreshadowing does not need it at this point.
Davis
your leader right now.
Osmer, by the way, with that as well.
He has. Chad Simpson, your race leader now in. Everybody has made their money stop here, Frank.
Last 3 laps, Chad Simpson has gone sub 22. That includes his fastest lap of the race, his personal fastest lap of the race at a 21.95. And as I say that, the official fastest lap of the race has just changed hands. Lyle Swearingen, a 21.87 the lap prior to this, just at a 21.90 as well. That 68 is on the move.
He is. And Ronnie Osmer is
just about in the wall in turn 2.
Yeah, I heard that. Right as I clicked back to Osmer getting ahead of Chad Simpson, I heard what sounded like contact of a car into the wall.
Siefker, fastest lap of the race, a 21.85. Swearingen responds with a 21.86.
Butch Davis turns fastest Sector 1 time again at a 10.91. We're going to see what he does coming here to the line.
21.83 for Siefker, fastest lap of the race. Butch Davis for the first time tonight into the 21s, a 21.88. Just 20 laps to go. These guys are going to show no mercy for these tires.
No mercy. And the other thing to remember, Frank, there's still a certain colored object that we don't like to see, but it very well could rear its ugly head at any given time as Butch Davis turns, oh my gosh, a 21.82 for Davis. Fastest lap of the race.
Ronnie Osmer,
these guys
once
are laying
again,
it down.
Yeah, Ronnie Osmer once again in some serious trouble. He must have hit the wall because he was very high going through turns 1 and 2. He has now gotten passed up by Chad Simpson, moves Simpson up into the 4th spot. And for what was such a wonderful race for Ronnie Osmer before the century mark, has completely unraveled for the 55.
Yeah, Osmer didn't catch the wall. He got really, really close, though. He had to definitely check it up. Oh, look at Davis again, a 21.78. Butch Davis has this car on a set of rails right now. He is closing in on Lyle Swearingen and Nate Siefker. 16 laps to go, Frank.
Just saw it on your screen there, the distance between the 68 and the 43. Swearingen starting to close in quite significantly on Nate Siefker as well. That gap has gone from 2.8 seconds to 2.2 seconds as Swearingen has been consistently running faster than that number one.
Siefker, I don't know if Siefker may have burned a little bit of too much off of those tires. He's running about 0.2 of a second slower than Lyle Swearingen.
Swearingen right now is reeling in the ace. 14
And as soon as we
laps to
say
go.
that,
Yep, there he goes.
yeah, as soon as we say that, Siefker turns a 21.87.
Woo!
Swearingen, look at Simpson.
21.67.
Folks,
the
if you can't
42.
tell, this is fun for us. This is insane.
Oh no, the cautions come out. Chris Simard
Simard and
and
Grandy.
Mike Grandy.
Take a look and see what happens. Oh, big wreck coming into turn 4.
Let's take a look and see here. Simard on board with Simard. That's Mike Grandy ahead of him. Meeting of the, oh my goodness, meeting of the minds.
Yeah, Grandy had to check up a little bit to make sure he made the corner and kind of pinched down a little bit on Simard. Not what you want to see, but it's racing. It's going to happen, Frank.
Yeah, watching it again here is,
I'm sorry, Grandy.
Oh
Grandy pinched down on
goodness.
Simard. Yeah, it's a big hit for both those drivers. Both those guys are out. Hey, Frank, as we go
Yeah.
back to live, we talked about a certain driver. Look who just came back into pit road.
you know, we're seeing here one more time this replay here. It's incredible just how violent these two and how quick they come bouncing off the wall. And a good job by Mike Grandy as well to slam the brakes on that car because Lyle Swearingen was on his way through. And as we can see on screen right now, Ronnie Osmer has come into pit. He's only going to lose a position or two. Bentley Glazer has come down pit road. Jake Walsh has come down pit road as well.
Oh, Frank, the other interesting thing about that wreck, that happened right in front of Nate's.
Yep, they were the next. Yep, that pair was the next one to get lapped by the one. Just our second caution of the night. First one was on lap 45. A single car spin that turned into a multi-car accident. And now Chris Simard and Mike Grandy meeting in the same place at the same time coming out of turn 4. Has drawn the ire of the yellow flag once again. On
Well,
board.
Frank, we talked about it possibly happening. And it's going to put all these guys right back together. There's a famous saying by the most recent man I know to say it was good old DW. Cautions breed cautions.
Unfortunately, they can't breed too many.
Yeah.
Because if we get inside of 5 laps to go, the race will be over and it will conclude under the yellow flag.
Exactly. There's no green-white checkers like you'd see in NASCAR in the IndyCar series, and I like how they do that. I like it and I don't like it. I like it because it keeps the intensity high, but I don't like it because I want to see these guys finish under green. And it'll be... I'm getting excited, Frank.
It's going to be a fun night for sure. Going to have 9 laps to go. Nate Siefker, Lyle Swearingen, Butch Davis, Chad Simpson, Jeffrey Bogan, Ronnie Osmer, Bentley Glazer, and Connor Nixon are the 8 drivers that are in line for a possible win here tonight. Everyone else a lap or more down.
Well, we say that, Frank, but should...
Caution's going to have to come out pretty quick.
Well, not the... Well, yeah, it would have to come in, take the leaders, as we see everybody lined up now. Pace car pulls off pit road. Nate Siefker waits, gets on the pedals.
What a jump in the back by Ronnie Osmer has Jeffrey Bogan beat going before the start-finish line, and has Chad Simpson beat going through 1 and 2. Here comes Lyle Swearingen for the race lead.
Swearingen did a great job on corner exit of 2. He's going to try and slide up. He's going to get clear of Siefker. Your new leader, Lyle Swearingen. He's got to watch that run from Siefker back onto the bottom. Swearingen rolls that high side, takes it deep like we saw him do. He's going to hold off Siefker. Lyle Swearingen on that restart did a fantastic job to get himself in position. As we come back to the line, here comes Siefker, 7 laps to go. I don't know where to keep looking, Frank, because a little further back, Osmer's on the move.
Siefker just did get him on that last time around, and after the race, we'll show you that incredible restart by the 55 of Ronnie Osmer. But right now, side by side for the race lead, coming down to 6 laps to go. Nate Siefker on the bottom, not quite clear of Lyle Swearingen on the outside just yet. Swearingen still trying to fight. Now Siefker's got him cleared. Can he run away?
Yeah, 5.5 laps to go, Frank. Swearingen sitting in his draft, doing whatever he can do to try and get back to that back bumper of Siefker. Like we said all night, it takes a couple laps to do it. Can't just roll up on him like you would at an auto club in Atlanta, anything like that. You have to set the pass up. Swearingen's fallen a little bit back, though. He's back to 0.4 of a second as Siefker's around the fastest first sector here tonight with coming to 4 laps to go.
Yeah, part of the reason why, oh boy, he's getting really close. He's pushing that Dallara IR18 to its limits. 21.72 for Siefker on 2 consecutive laps. Swearingen responds with a 21.84. Not good enough.
Yeah, not close enough. That's the fastest for Siefker tonight. That is the fastest, not the fastest lap of the race still. That belongs to Simpson. 3 laps to go. Siefker holding a 0.6 of a second lead right now over Swearingen. Butch Davis sits in 3rd. Ronnie Osmer up to 4th place on that restart. Simpson rounds out your top 5. But up front, still a 0.6 of a second lead, Frank. Coming to the 2 sticks up in the air. 2 laps to go.
And 2 laps to go. Nate Siefker looking for his season high, his 5th win of the season. Season high for the series overall. And his 3rd consecutive win. Coming to the white flag. He has been a little bit quicker and still is quicker than Lyle Swearingen as we come down 1 mile to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. Nate Siefker looking to go 2 for 2 here at Milwaukee in this series. Just 1 more corner to navigate. Swearingen starting to close in, but it is not going to be enough. Nate Siefker wins round number 11 here from the Milwaukee Mile.
Lyle Swearingen's going to bring it home in 2nd. Butch Davis brings it home in 3rd. A strong run for him here tonight, up 7 positions from where he started. Osmer finishes in 4th, a great comeback for him. Chad Simpson rounds out your top 5. But Frank, that was a heck of a drive from Siefker. You know, after that 100 lap mark, he was the guy to beat.
The race shifted after the century mark for sure. It went from the camp of the 55, looking for his 5th win overall in the series, to Nate Siefker getting his 5th win on the season and his 3rd in a row. He has not lost a race since prior to Indianapolis at Phoenix back on the 27th of October. As we work to get
That was fantastic. I was just gonna say that was a heck of a run. Like you said, Siefker's been on a roll, and it's been impressive to see him. We heard coming in he was the guy to beat on road courses, but he's showing he's way more than purely a road course guy. He's showing tonight why he runs that number one and won the title last year.
As we work to get these drivers in here, let's take a look at this restart from on board of Ronnie Osmer. He made one heck of a move, saw room on the outside line, and boy, oh boy, did he take it. Here's the restart. Second, the green flag flies, moves to the right to get past Jeffrey Bogan, which is 100% legal, can only pass to the right on the restart, and then just flies right on by Chad Simpson, who I'm sure had no idea that move was going to be coming. And up ahead, you see the fight between Siefker and Swearingen for the race lead at the time. An incredible start for that number 55, as we'll take a look now and see what we have. Nate Siefker is in now with our as our race winner, with our Greg McConey.
Nate Siefker, Greg up in the booth, man. Congratulations on your win. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, I mean, being stuck behind Ronnie there for that first half or so wasn't very fun. You know, lap one I knew was going to be really important, and that battle there, and I just couldn't quite get it pulled off. So I knew pit stops in yellows was going to be the only way I was going to get around him, and didn't get him on the first pit stop. That second pit stop, though, had a pretty decent, out lap. It looked like he was a little tentative getting out, and got around him there that way. And then, just kind of cruising, trying to be as consistent as possible through the race, through the run. And then that last stint, it felt terrible. I don't know if it was just the lighter fuel made the car feel weird, but all of a sudden I felt like I was just eating the right rear up. So when that yellow came out, I was thankful for it, and I was a little too cautious on the green flag lap that we went green, because I was expecting the rear to do something stupid with the temperatures. It didn't, and that's why Lyle got that huge run on me. So I'm thankful that didn't come back to bite me really hard. I really thought when he was ahead of me that was game.
If we are back up and running, we had a sim crash and everything just went haywire after that. So what we're going to do is we are going to sign off for the evening. We will get back to you guys after the Thanksgiving break. For my broadcast partner, Greg McConey, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening, and we will see you all in 2 weeks' time at Sebring. Good night, everybody.